right, we're going to open tonight's meeting of the Board of Selectmen for the 6th of June, 2012. First item on the agenda is the board acceptance of the agenda. We have one change. Number 5, under citizen departmental requests, has been withdrawn, just so you know that that's coming. And anything else? Add nothing? All right. Next item is announcements. Libby, did you want to do the announcements?
Sure. The announcement that's listed on there, Cherry Street will become one-way eastbound towards Orange Street effective Friday, June 15th. This was approved by the board a week or two ago, and we were to come up with a date and let you know about it. It will be advertised. There will be a number of increased and improved signage in the area about the change, and so people know.
Great.
We also have committee, board, and commission vacancies. Currently, although we have the public hearing on tonight, are we still accepting applications? Or okay. So just so people know, there are a number of board, committee, and commission vacancies. They're all pretty much listed on the website if people are interested in volunteering. And maybe we'll do the airport manager intro now, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'm delighted to introduce to you and the board and the public the new manager of the airport, Thomas Rafter. It started on Monday.
Thank you very much, and I'm just glad to be here. I think it's interesting. I'm coming right in the height or the beginning of the season, so looking forward to a great summer. And thank you, and I appreciate everything. And if anybody ever needs anything, please give me a call. I wish I could give you the phone number, but I don't even know that yet. So, but anyway, you can find me at the airport. And thank you very much for everything. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
It's not often we get applause, right?
I know, twice. All right, anything else under announcements?
One quick thing. In past years, as you will recall, our procurement officer, Diane O'Neill, has been able to arrange training with the Division of Capital Asset Management of the state of Massachusetts, DCAM, for the construction contracting community, and she's arranged another one for this year. It will be on Thursday, June 14th from 6 to 8 p.m. here in this room. And there is some contact information. If they would like to pre-register, they can call Diane directly, and I believe this information is also on the website. If not, we'll get it on there. But hopefully contractors will take advantage of how to become certified so that they can bid on certain types of municipal projects.
Great.
But just to follow up, we always encourage our local folks. Is there like a list of those or who over time have applied, or is that not public?
That may be something
the longer
that
the list might be interesting to know, or maybe
yeah,
not.
it's not a list that we would maintain.
Okay,
DCAM probably has it. There aren't that many Nantucket contractors that are certified.
Unfortunately. Sure.
Just to follow up too, Diane sent us all an email that they are planning on doing quite a bit of extensive renovation work at the Mass Field Station this year, and you still need to be certified to do that as well because it is state money. So anyone who wants to get the certification, now's a good time to do it.
Great, thank you. All right, anything else under announcements? Not public comment. Is there anyone here tonight with matters that are not currently on tonight's agenda? Yes, John.
My name's John McLaughlin. Members of the board, I got some emails today about situation about tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock meeting. I had some questions through you to town council if I could, because it's very confusing that they're having a meeting in executive session tomorrow. I know the reason, and it involves myself and others. And it said you can allow 2 to go when the board I sit on is 5 of us. And I'm like a lot of people. I don't like to receive secondhand information. And I like to get an explanation of why 2 can go and the whole commission can't, because we should keep up with things.
My understanding, John, and John can inform this as well, is that the HCC was given the opportunity to post the meeting, and it has not been posted. So legally, we can only have 2 commissioners at a time attend the meeting. Otherwise, we violate the open meeting law. Thank you. All right. So I think that's the reason. Unfortunately, if it had been posted, the whole group could have come.
Yeah. My question is, why would, I don't think it's right to eliminate members. They should all go, or they should know. None should be invited,
It's state law, I'm sorry, right? I mean, I don't think it's our decision to eliminate, it's state law, and the opportunity had been there to be in compliance, and it just wasn't taken. So we will be meeting only with 2 members.
It seems unacceptable, but thank
Okay.
you. for
Thank
the
you, John.
Explanation.
All right. Anything else for public comment tonight? Seeing nothing, new business, I am not aware of anything there. All right, approval of minutes, warrants, and pending contracts, approval of payroll warrant for weeks ending 27 May 2012, 3rd of June 2012. Seeing no objections, that is approved. Approval of treasury warrants for 30th May 2012, 6th of June 2012, no comments or objections, that is approved. Approval of pending contracts for 6th of June 2012, as set forth on the spreadsheet identified as Exhibit 1, which exhibit is incorporated herein by reference. So we have contracts. Libby, did you want to?
Sure,
walk
bear
us
with
through?
me, because there are a number of them. The first one is a change order with J.K. Scanlon through the police department. It's a reduction of $3,267. It's a punch list credit for this facility, the public safety facility. We have a professional services contract through the Marine Department with UMass Dartmouth, $102,000. This is a 3-year contract for water quality testing. The source of funding is the Waterways Improvement Fund. The 3 years, the $102,000 is not per year, it's the total for 3 years. And is now the time to mention other things about this.
If we, I know, I'm aware there's a comment on this, so if you'd like to, we could just follow up with the group from SHAB who's here tonight.
Now?
Now, did you want to make a comment? Mike, Peter?
Talking about the water quality.
Yep,
Yeah, okay.
thanks.
Stumble through this. Yeah, Peter Brace, Chairman, Harbor Shellfish Advisory Board. We support the contract. We're glad that there's a 3-year possible extension of it if we want at that price. However, we're concerned that the money that pays for that comes from the Waterways Improvement Fund, which basically that's for aids to navigation, dredging, ramps, piers, and it's money that could go toward that. We would like for FY14, we're going to push to have that money paid for by the town instead of that.
As a line item.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as a line item.
Okay. Dave, did you want to comment on that?
No, I wanted to comment on the cost and the negotiation for the contract.
Okay. And I think that we take your comment under advisement, Peter, because obviously
Okay.
it's not going to affect tonight's progression through the
No.
contract. But I appreciate the heads up on that, and we'll definitely have a conversation within the year as we form the budget for next year.
And, as an example, just, the F Street Pier that needed work, I know other money is paying for that, but things happen. We have storms, you never know how much money we're going to need.
Okay.
In sort of the same vein as the propagation fund pays for shellfish, it kind of doesn't make sense to have the Waterways Improvement Fund pay for water quality. It should be something else.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, and we'll hear more about that as we go forward into the next cycle of budgeting. So, thank you. Dave?
Good evening. I know you have a long agenda, so I'll be brief. I just wanted to recognize the fact that there was some question when we put out the RFP as to our methodology about requesting the contractor to give us certain parameters rather than us to identify the parameters. Well, I would like to say that formula worked very well. We were able to negotiate the price down from $48,800 down to $34,000 using that methodology. We were able to limit some of the samples, some of the things weren't needed, and I'd like to recognize Tara Riley, our town biologist, for negotiating that with SMAST. So the good news is we saved $14,000.
Thank you. Whitey?
Yes, Dave, I know that the data was very, very late last year, almost so late it was not very helpful. Is there any provisions to get the data in more current?
Yes, sir. There's a very, very tight timeline. with some very tight dates for them to submit information. We have John Daniels with us tonight from Woodard and Kern, and with the town manager's help, Woodard and Kern is managing this too. So we have a good rapport with Woodard and Kern, and they have a good rapport with SMAS, so I think we'll have timely data.
Great. Thank you. Rick?
You know, maybe one way to sort of get at the test that we're going to perform is to share with us either some of the contract or what test, so sort of what your program is now.
We
Because I
can,
assume out of this, you're going to do this test and this one on these dates, and there must be a schedule you could just make available?
sure, we have a scope of services that has the dates and what is being analyzed.
That would be nice.
Yes, sir.
And maybe some updates, we can work all that into.
Over the summer and year,
Yeah.
we will.
Great, thank you very much, Dave.
Thank you.
All right, next item, Libby.
Next, we have an engineering services contract through planning with Brackett Engineering, Inc., $9,500. And this is to prepare a yard sale parcel plan, and we do have funding in the yard sale takings account. Okay. We have a purchase contract through the police department with APCO, $7,176 for guide cards for 911 dispatchers. The ones we have now are rather outdated, and this is funded through E911 grant funds.
Could I ask what a guide card is?
It's the card that has instructions
It's like
very
talking
briefly
points, so to
on
speak? It was-
kind of and defib.
So you're
and-
on the phone and here's some helpful ways to work through it? Thank you.
Correct, yep. Thank you. We have a service contract through Our Island Home with David S. Marshall, $20,080. This is a 2-year contract for the saltwater fish tank maintenance, and the funds are through a gift fund. We've funded this routinely through a gift account. We have a license through Town Administration Board of Selectmen with NFI Realty Trust. It's not a monetary issue. This is the annual license that we have signed with the private property owner at 40th Pole for public use of certain portions of that privately owned property. We have a professional services agreement through Town Administration with Unamerica SLIS, $295,770. This is our annual stop-loss insurance coverage for medical claims. It's gone up about 6% from last year, and stop-loss insurance coverage is generally used with self-insured entities to cover large claims. Ours are covered in excess of $150,000. We have a $400,000 deductible. We have probably half a dozen very high claims that exceed $300,000 to $400,000 right now. So the stop-loss insurance is helpful.
Lady?
Does that include enterprise funds?
Yes.
Rick?
Does this suggest that we'll have other insurance contracts come through this reporting mechanism? I just don't recall seeing
We
insurance
haven't,
contracts. Maybe I don't remember them, but,
this one hasn't been bid for a while.
okay.
And this is the first time we've bidded in probably several years. But yes, the idea is that they will come
So
through
the idea,
like
so if we
this.
have a property casualty insurance policy, we would bring it through here?
Yep, if
as
there's a
well.
contract and if it's been bid out,
think
correct.
I mean, bid out is the key. If it's not bid out, it might not, just to understand what we're doing.
If it's an existing contract that doesn't need to be renewed, or if it were coming
Right,
up
if
for
it's an
renewal,
But if
yes.
it's up for renewal, the
Yes.
property, we're going to spend $50,000 or whatever the cost is, we'd bring it through this mechanism?
Right.
Great, thank you.
Okay, questions? No.
We have a right of entry agreement with the Army Corps of Engineers, again, a no-cost item, and this is permission to enter onto town property in connection with a remedial investigation and feasibility study of unexploded ordnance and other potential items in the former Tom Nevers area.
These are
Rocket
friends from
Range.
the other week?
That's right. Lastly, we are forfeiting a state grant, the remainder of it for the design and construction of the Nantucket wind turbine, since we are not proceeding with that project. That was through the Mass Clean Energy Center.
Okay, yes, Rick?
Just on that, I was trying to understand, there's a footnote on the schedule.
Yes, the initial grant was $390,000. The grant was revised because of a change to the project down
Right.
to $345,433. And the amount we did not use that we are forfeiting is $217,300.
So if you subtract one from the other, is that the amount we?
It should, that theoretically is the
reimbursed?
amount that we paid.
I assume that's the
And we're
amount we were
reimbursed.
reimbursed for, because this was a contract, we spend the money up front, then we submit the bills and we get back what we get.
Correct. And I believe we were reimbursed for everything except for something like $16.
Okay, so, and that was through the license plate fund?
Yes.
So in the license plate fund, when we get to that at some point, we'll see the expenses and we'll see the reimbursement
Correct.
in effect, right? Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions on the
Quick
contract?
question.
Yes, Bruce?
Libby, on the yard sale account, what kind of balance is there approximately? I mean, is it significant, or is it, do we?
I think it's fairly significant. I think it's over $100,000.
Thank you.
There was some email exchanges today about that, and I'm not sure what the final number was shown at. I didn't have a chance to check it, but I can find that out.
Okay, any other questions? And there's so many of them. Do I have a motion to approve? Thanks. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. All right, next item tonight is citizen departmental requests. The first matter, Planning Office, request for acceptance of a gift of up to $3,500 from Remain Nantucket to purchase bike racks for various locations in the downtown area. There you are. I saw Rachel running around looking for spots for them. I like the fact that you included pictures of the racks, too. I thought that was great. Did you want to tell us a little bit about it? Because I think it's great.
Yes, Madam Chairman. Mike Burns, Transportation Planner. A lot of this is possible through the generous participation of Remain Nantucket. This is initially just to buy a few different models of bike racks for the downtown area to see how appropriate they are and aesthetically and functionally in the downtown area. If certain models tend to be better than the others, then Remain's also expressed a willingness to participate in replacing some old racks and maybe adding some more other ones in some needed areas. So this is all to make bicycling a little more friendly in the downtown area and across the island. So this is a good item, and we're happy to have it on the agenda and ask that the board accept that as a gift. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Do I have a motion to approve? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Just
To
one comment.
Remain.
I remember the WPI students, Whitey,
Right.
had bike racks right up there first as high impact, low cost.
This is even lower cost because
Right,
it's
even
donated.
better, so it's great.
Excellent. All right, next item, Nantucket Hunting Association, Inc., request for endorsement of environmental notification form for Massachusetts Environmental Policy Act review for Nantucket Shooting Park located at 1 Shadbush Road, Nantucket.
Madam Chair, I'm going to be recusing myself from this item.
Thanks, Bob. All right, do I have something from someone from the Hunting Association who wants to tell us a little bit about this, and then stay there, and we'll talk at the next item too? Steve?
Yes, thank you. Steve Holgate, President, Nantucket Hunting Association, proponent application. The next two agenda items are applications to submit to National Heritage and MIPA office for the necessary permitting required to go ahead with the Nantucket Shooting Park project. And I'm here to answer any questions that you may have on the packages. There were no signatures required, just your endorsement to submit as landowners.
Okay. Questions from the board? Questions from the public? All right, we'll take them one at a time. I'm sorry, yes, Ms. Cooper.
Rich Cooper, I'm just trying to find out, can you explain, is this, if this is approved, does this mean that the work is going to commence, or has the work already been done? And this is just an application to perform the work?
I think we'll get Mr. Holgate up here to answer the question.
Through you, Chairperson, these are applications to get, one is to a MIPA review that has to go through the Massachusetts Environmental Protection Office, Executive Office. There's a 20-day public comment period as part of that. There's also about 8 or 9 agencies that receive a duplicate package for review, and after the 20-day public comment period is over, MIPA makes a determination with recommendations from National Heritage, in which case National Heritage, the second agenda item coming up is National Heritage application for a conservation management permit for the site. to the fact that this board signed an application package a few weeks ago that was submitted to National Heritage as a MISA review to see if there was a taking required, and they did determine that a take would be required as part of the shooting range project. And as part of that requirement, we have to obtain a management permit from National Heritage now to continue. So these two things will give us a permit from National Heritage to move on with the project. We still have to, it gives us the right to be able to break ground, if you will, through the National Heritage. We still have other permits, building permits, planning permits to go through. So we still can't break ground until we have some other permits in hand. This is just one of several permits.
So the answer is they're just important to get started, and we have to, or they have to make sure, we as landowners have to make sure that we've gotten the endorsement to go forward and at least submit the application, so.
So the studies for the endangered species have been completed or have not been completed?
They were done before, right? So it's unrelated?
Yeah, that's correct. We had years ago, we've had several plant studies, a moth study done, and that was a lot of the data that we used to write the management plan, the draft management plan that National Heritage will look at as part of this application and approve or recommend changes to it. It was also the same data we shared with the adjacent industrial park in order for them to get their permitting as well. So we don't see any issues with the studies done.
Okay. Yes,
Quick
Bruce?
question. Could you just clarify exactly what do you mean when you say it was determined that there has been a taking?
National Heritage, through the MISA, Massachusetts Environmental Protection Act, they have to, you have to submit, and there's criteria and triggers. One of the triggers for our project is if it's greater than 5 acres, I believe, it triggers a review. And that MISA review is when the National Heritage staff members review your project. You have to submit plans and such, and they review it to determine if it's within priority habitat, estimated habitats, whether it may be endangered species or habitats. In this case, there was. And much of Nantucket is under estimated habitat, and a lot of it's under priority habitat. So this project was within that vicinity, so it did require a review, and the review determined that a take is required, which requires you to do several other things as part of the conservation management permit that gets triggered. Many other projects, I think maybe this site, possibly in the industrial park out in the same area as a shooting range project, all had to do the same thing.
And just as a sort of armchair explanation, if I'm correct, it's basically an approval of the management policy once they've identified the fact that there's a species, endangered species out there. So can't break ground without it.
Patty, just to follow up again, though, I tell you, it sounds, does it take like a specific thing you have to do, or?
It's an interesting term.
Yeah, taking, obviously, when the town takes something, that means something different than
It
that.
is, it's totally
So,
different
but, you know,
meaning.
I envision you taking the shad bush and moving it over here, so I'm still not quite sure what take,
Can I try to explain it?
yeah, it's just
It's a
curious.
term that's used by Natural Heritage that indicates that certain habitat is going to be taken away from the species that use it,
Okay,
and it has to be dealt with in a
Managed.
specific
thank you.
manner.
So if they have 10 acres of shad bush, we're taking 5, he might have to recreate or whatever, but because he's using the property in a certain way, it's taking away from its natural habitat.
Correct, and it's mostly butterflies and moths. And there's a letter that we've gotten from Natural Heritage which explains it all, and I'm happy to forward it to you guys. So you can
And we don't get any points for naming the road Shadbush? No.
No, unfortunately, yeah, I did follow up on the last
did
week.
that, right?
That was
Explains
his,
that.
his idea. All right, yes, Mr. Cooper.
I'm a little confused about the timeline. Last year, Mr. Kopko brought forth a motion that was unanimously approved by you people for construction to start in, he gave him a 6-month extension until October of last year, and construction was supposed to start as of last October, and completion date. And I'd like to know what the timeline is for the start of this project. I mean, are they going to make it within the deadline that was given and voted on here and approved, or what?
Well, let's Mr. Holgate answer that question, but I believe it's a slightly different matter than what's currently on the agenda. So I don't want to go too far into depth. If you have an interest in that, maybe we can have an update at a different time. But tonight, we're taking specifically a look at whether or not to endorse the two measures, basically, to go forward. But if you could give us a quick update.
Yeah,
Steve,
just
it'd be
real quick,
helpful.
it is kind of off the agenda, but it's, the lease has a break ground deadline of October of this coming year, 2012, and we're striving to meet that. And again, like the contract was rewritten by the Selectmen as a new contract, lease contract, excuse me, and that, again, that lease contract says the Selectmen have the right to cancel if we don't break ground by that deadline. It doesn't say you have to cancel the lease, but
Okay, thank you. All right, so the matter before us first is a request for endorsement of environmental notification form for the Massachusetts Environmental Policy Act review. Any other questions about that? Do I have a motion?
Yeah.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion to endorse. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the second matter, we've also vetted pretty well, although obviously if you have questions, that's Nantucket Hunting Association, Inc., request for endorsement of National Heritage and Endangered Species Program for Massachusetts Endangered Species Act Conservation and Management Permit application for Nantucket Shooting Park located at 1 Shadbush Road, Nantucket. Any other questions from the board, from the public? Do I have a motion on that matter?
So moved.
Second, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Next item, Alliance for Substance Abuse Prevention, Underage Drinking, and 4th of July presentation. Anyone here tonight?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Michael DeGisi. I'm a member of the Board of Directors of the Alliance for Substance Abuse Prevention, and I'm also the secretary. The Alliance for Substance Abuse Prevention is an organization that's comprised of many different sectors of the community to address the problem of substance abuse on the island. We represent educational interests. The hospital is represented, public safety, and the religious community, and business, parents, and just general members of the community, so that we have a rather diverse board. I've been asked tonight by the Board of Directors to speak to you about the upcoming 4th of July holiday. Shortly after 4th of July of last year, Detective Jerry Adams attended our meeting and gave us a view of the 4th from the perspective of the police department. The events of the day and the behavior of people was disturbing. The apparent worst of which was a young lady almost losing her life to an alcohol overdose, and the dangerous position emergency responders were put in trying to get through throngs of intoxicated people to come to her aid. We believe most people saw firsthand or saw in the paper the trash left behind and heard stories of indecent and destructive behavior. We as a group felt the need to act, and the State Department of Mental Health also pointed out that by not taking a more proactive approach as a community, we were enabling this kind of behavior. We formed a committee, and over the course of the winter, we sought out the opinions of people in the community, especially those in the public health and safety, who are most closely involved with this event. We found several areas of concern. Starting with public safety, there's the risk of public injury or death due to alcohol and drug overdose, drowning, sexual assault, the fights and physical violence that it brings, and the taxing of EMS services to the point of putting others in the community at risk. Some of the legal issues pertaining to this event are underage drinking, the public consumption of alcohol, illicit drug use and distribution, driving under the influence, the possible liability of incidents on town and airport property. Economically, there's the damage to property of nearby residents, the cost of the cleanup, the cost of public services by police, EMS, and Nantucket Cottage Hospital, and the negative publicity generated for Nantucket. This past Memorial Day has given us a small taste of what we have to look forward to. We don't believe that this is what anyone here envisions for the future of Nantucket. We were recently cited by National Geographic as the best island in the world. The question is, do we wish to stay on that list or join San Padre Island, Tybee Island, or Fort Lauderdale on the list of college student party venues? All you have to do is Google Nantucket 4th of July on the internet, and you'll get your answer as to what's going on out here. The word is already out. There are posts from as far away as California that this is the place to be on 4th of July for college students. So here we are, less than a month from the 4th, and ASAP is prepared to take action to start the conversation and to try to start changing the culture of substance abuse in the community. Judging by the latest editorial in the Inquirer and Mirror, we are not alone. We would like the help of the Board of Selectmen in dealing with this issue. There are several other spokespeople here tonight to give more insight into this issue. We appreciate their support and collaboration and hope we can solve our common problem by working together. Thank you for your time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions, and we have other board members here if there are any questions pertaining to this. Thank you.
Great. Any questions from the board?
I don't know if you want to hear the others first or questions as we go. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't have a question right now, Patty.
Okay.
Are there more speakers? Or?
Did you want to have more speakers? My sense was...
Yes, there are other people here who wish to speak to this issue, so I'll be here to answer.
All right. Sorry, I sort of took it as you were the spokesman, so...
Hi, I'm Jenny Garneau. I'm here representing the Department of Mental Health, which is whom I work for, and I'm also the project manager for the Drug Free Community Grant, which was awarded to ASAP. My supervisor, Steve Jocham, is the Cape and Islands Regional Director for the Department of Mental Health for the state of Massachusetts. And we had a meeting early in the fall because they periodically come out and check on us after we've had I was hired to respond to the suicide adolescent cluster. So they periodically come out and see how we're doing and what's going on and can they offer more support and help. And they came early fall and heard the discussions around the 4th of July issue. And needless to say, the department, Stephen Jocham, was very surprised and was rather flabbergasted that this has been happening year after year after year. And we tried different things, but we really haven't ever had any strong leadership in really trying to figure out what to do and to shut it down. With the social networking now, what's happening is, as Mike mentioned earlier, the barrage of YouTube, Facebook, and websites promoting 4th of July on Nantucket has escalated to I don't know whether any of you have looked, but the imagery is grotesque. And it's also very dangerous and frightening. As my mom always said when I was growing up and she wouldn't let me ride motorcycles, it's not a question of if you get hurt, it's a question of when. And something will happen. And so I'm urging you to enter into us with a dialogue and take some leadership on what we should do about all of this, because it is extremely dangerous, not only for the people on the beach, but for the people that live off the beach, for someone who has perhaps a heart attack in Sconset at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the 4th of July. We have support from the school, Michael Kozort. I'm not going to read all the letters to you from them. And from Peter Swenson and his staff at Family and Children's Service. Also, just as an aside, some statistics, 90% of all suicides have alcohol involved, and we're not expecting someone to go to a 4th of July party and then go home and die by suicide. But there's lots of issues around this significant substance abuse that's being actively promoted. So we just wanted to have a conversation.
Great, thank you. Anyone else from your group here tonight want to say something about this? Did you want to? We have the chief standing in the wings.
Hi, Madam Chairman and Board of Selectmen. I'm Bill Farrell. I'm the Communications Officer at Nantucket Cottage Hospital. And I'm just here to kind of echo some of the concerns that everybody else has. As the hospital on the island, our first concern is for public health and safety. Last July 4th was very taxing on the resources at the hospital, which had additional problems related to alcohol. And in fact, a triage plan has been put in place this year that will, when possible, and take into consideration the condition of the patient, separate those people from the general emergency room population. Leaves have been canceled for that week in anticipation of the extra load on the emergency room. I know there's been a lot of controversy about the ads that ASAP is proposing to put out there about this. The upper level administration of the hospital, Dr. Hartman, and the director of the emergency department have seen the ads, and we recognize that they might seem goofy to some people, they might seem too harsh to others, but at least it's doing something. And if it makes 1 or 2 kids out there who are going to drink heavily think twice about it, then we're all for it. And so I just want to underscore that we support ASAP and their effort and endorse what they think is best in this situation.
Okay, great, thank you. Chief, did you want to?
Sure. Good evening. I think the discussion that we're going to have about this 4th of July, what I'd like to do is kind of give us a little bit of detailed discussion about the problem that we're facing, some of the strategies and challenges that we have, and kind of give a brief overview of the plan that we would like to implement. What I am going to need from the Board of Selectmen is your implicit authorization to implement a part of this plan, and that would be to activate a mutual aid agreement we have with the state police and other agencies, which I'll explain the details. As we all know, that the last few years the 4th of July parties have been building and building. It's been coming for some time, and what we actually see here is kind of history repeating itself. This was before my time on the island, but when they had the Matacasham Jams, that thing was something that started small and just kept getting bigger. And it was the indifference or the failure to take direct and specific action that allowed it to grow to the point where they had to bring in a huge force of police officers and a large effort to get it shut down. And what we're seeing here is kind of the same thing. We've tried different tactics, some of it subtle, some of it not so subtle, where we've basically tried to tolerate but obliterate it, so to speak, try to spread it around the island so it wouldn't be so concentrated in one area. And then last year we tried an entirely different strategy in which we didn't attempt to split it up. We attempted to keep it in one location, and we ended up with what we ended up with. The fact is we don't have enough staff in the police department here to effectively go in and take enforcement action on a group that size. I mean, we had several thousand people out there, and standing on the hill were 6 or 7 police officers. So, it's not the odds are not real good. What we're facing is we don't know, this year in particular, we don't know when the problem's going to erupt. We know it's going to be around the 4th of July. We've been monitoring different social networks, different websites. We all have our own intelligence sources. We even talk to our own kids who are out there talking to other kids in the schools. And what we do know, what we do feel is the party's going to start building on the weekend before the 4th. There's going to be a party on the 4th, and there may even be some action after the 4th on the following weekend. So we're preparing as if from June 30th through July 8th is when we're going to be dealing with this. All time off has been canceled for police officers. Every member of my staff, the police department, is going to be working 12-hour shifts at that point in time, and most likely including even the seasonal workers. So, we're still strapped for manpower at that. So what we've started to do, we also know, and just the Memorial Day weekend was a good example of how stressed the EMS system got just from a one-day or couple days there. A much smaller crowd in a controlled atmosphere than what we have at Nobadir. Last year we carried, I think, 9 people off the beach out there over a 2 or 3 day period of time. So it could very well be more this year. Last year we experienced a lot of disturbances in the neighborhood out there around Nobadir Beach, especially when the party got out. It's like, there's no organization of this party, but somebody decided to turn the music off and shut it down. And everybody left all at once, and there was hundreds of people walking down all of the roads out there, taking care of all their business along the way, some of it not so pleasant. What we're dealing with today is active promotion by social websites out there. What's Up Tucket, a local web master, is actively promoting that a big party at Nobadir Beach this year. There's an organization called Barstool Sports Boston that's actively promoting a party at Dionis Beach this year. He actually tried to promote a blackout party, which has been kind of a very exciting event for some people, I guess, up in Boston and New York. He actually promoted one of those to be done at the Chicken Box, but Fortunately, the owners of the chicken box started looking at what that involved and decided that wasn't for Nantucket, and they wisely made a decision to cancel it. We're dealing with, as I said, the manpower shortages. We don't have a promoter to hold accountable. There's nobody we can talk to about, making the arrangements and paying for details and making sure the garbage is cleaned up. I mean, this thing is actually airport property out there. So the new manager, I was just going to tell him tonight, guess what? It's all yours. But we'll work with them on dealing with it. So, we have to, those are the challenges there. The social media is extremely challenging because we can set up and be all prepared to deal with the onslaught of people, but all it takes is a tweet and a Facebook message, and they all go to a different beach. So our plan has to be mobile. We have to be able to adjust to things as they're changing on the spot. There is a significant problem with informal sponsorships by local Nantucket businesses. Jack Wills, for instance, their website, their blogs are promoting this thing. They're out there passing out merchandise for free. They need to be responsible and stop that. We have conversations with them. Last year I had a conversation with their corporate headquarters about that and got no response back. So it is about Nantucket businesses being responsible too. We have also the problem of we have a large number of events on the 4th of July that require Nantucket Police Department attention. We have the thing downtown in the morning during the day. Then we have the fireworks at night. That takes every one of our people to deal with that, and then we throw the beach party on top of that. And it may be a party at one beach, it may be a party at 4 beaches. So what I need to, we have several objectives here. We need to reduce the impact on these neighborhoods around there. We have a plan that worked fairly well to reduce the impact on Surfside last year. We restricted parking in the area, made it very limited so that people coming to the beach actually had to take public transportation or walk to get there. The downside of that was when the party got over, everybody left, and it was like one cop standing there amongst 1,000 trying to direct them down a road, and they just went where they wanted to. So we have to enhance that. We need to reduce the traffic risk and problems that are a result of this. We need to reduce and eliminate the access to alcohol by our underage people. Last year, we carded people as they were bringing alcohol to the beach. If they didn't have an ID or couldn't prove their age, or they were underage, they had to, we confiscated the alcohol or gave them a choice to be arrested, whichever they wanted. Didn't have too many takers. Anyway, I think this year we're going to go to the next step. This year we're actually going to go in there and we're actually going to, if we find somebody underage and they're drinking, we will make arrests or take appropriate action. We do have an open container law in Nantucket on the beaches. It is prohibited to drink on the beaches. Reality is there's not enough cops in Massachusetts to enforce that on a 4th of July weekend, as we all know, on these beaches. But I think we can make an impact on the underage. We still have the challenge, even though the party may erupt at Nobadir, we still have other issues that are out there on other beaches, so we do have to maintain a presence all around the island. Our manpower, again, is the problem. There is a cost involved. Last year, we spent about $15,000 in overtime on the 4th of July. This year, you're looking at least several days of that kind of expense to do this. I am working with, I'm going to request, I've started the process, actually, made contact with Massachusetts State Police. They are willing to give me manpower on my request. They do, fortunately, cover most of their own expenses. We have requested from the Nantucket County Sheriff assistance. He reached out to his partner over there in Barnstable, Jim Cummins, the sheriff. Sheriff Cummins is going to send manpower to help us with dealing with processing arrestees. The sheriff has also offered to assist by paying for transportation for state troopers to come to and from the island, so we don't have to worry about finding a place to house them overnight on the 4th of July, that kind of thing. So, we're working on a plan that's going to come together. All it's going to take is us to say, go ahead and implement it, and we're ready to go. We'll be working, we have a meeting on Friday with all of the town departments in which we'll be discussing the need for dumpsters, the need for porta potties, the need for no parking signs, the need for, whatever services the various town departments can provide us. The fire department, what can they do to augment the ability to respond to EMS calls that weekend? That, for instance, that kind of thing. Our basic plan is this. We're going to restrict parking on select beaches and neighborhoods. That will make it a little more challenging for people to bring alcohol and stuff to the beach without having to carry it some significant distances. We're going to, some beaches, we're going to implement a restriction or even a prohibition of vehicles on the beach. We found last year that out at Nobadeer, we had allowed beaches to get, vehicles to get on the beach, and unfortunately, some of the drivers decided it was time to leave before the crowd was ready to leave, and it was a very, very dangerous situation when they were trying to drive through those crowds. So we're going to kind of play it by ear. We're focusing on the major beaches. As I said, we may restrict the number, or we may even prohibit entirely vehicles to go onto that beach, depending on what's starting to build up. We're going to put, I believe I'm going to request about 15 additional Barnstable County Sheriff's officers, Sheriff's deputies, and Massachusetts State Troopers. And we think with that number that we'll be able to put together some patrols that can actually hit the beaches and start sweeping through the crowds looking for underage people and intoxicated people. And we'll take appropriate action when we find it. Our plan is going to be mobile. If we're all planning to set up at Nobadeer and it ends up at Dionis, we'll be there. We'll be there before they know it. If it ends up out at Smith's Point, which is very unlikely because it can't drive back there right now, or Cisco, which is also very unlikely because it's about a 15-foot drop down to the beach, Matacasham, or any of those other beaches, we'll be there. And again, the pre-placement of dumpsters and porta potties, although that comes as a significant expense, I think, for the town, it significantly reduced the amount of time the next day for cleaning up the mess that we had to deal with. The dumpsters were all full at the end of the day, yet there was still truckloads of stuff on the beach. I think the thing for the public to remember is parking will be very, very limited. If you plan on going to the beach 4th of July, figure out how to get to one that's close to you and easy to get to. There are general laws and bylaws regarding open containers, underage drinking, and they will be enforced. And public transportation will be very limited. We are going to work with the NRTA to see if there's any options that we can have to maybe enhance the transportation to and from the location that turns out to be where we're at. And we will pass out trash bags as we did last year, and et cetera. So all I need is your nod and okay to activate that mutual aid plan, and we'll put it together.
All right. Comments from the board? Rick?
Well, I think it's obvious we're dealing with this, a very serious matter, and I appreciate the discussion tonight. And, it's not just the town, it's the community, it's the business community. It's all of us trying to chip in together to make a difference. And when I hear a reference to a business that's not perhaps supportive, forgetting that one, but I think our chamber and others can be helpful in that regard. This isn't something to take lightly. This is sort of like no fooling around, and the ads are an interesting situation because I think a lot of people here tonight know there's been some pushback on the ads. And maybe that's gone away by now, I don't know. My own impression is that we need to be very active. I'm not sure I can tell you how the ads will work, but I would support them if our professionals and our ASAP people feel they can be helpful. Almost anything we can do is a step in the right direction. So that's my first reaction, Patty.
All right. How about the request from the chief? Bruce?
I 100% agree with what Rick said. I live out at Nonantum Avenue. I've been an eyewitness to what's been going on over the years, and in no way has anything you've heard tonight been exaggerated. If anything, it's been understated. It's almost unbelievable the way thousands of kids go by in the morning, many holding huge coolers that they can barely carry. By the end of the day, they come by. Most of them don't have their shoes on anymore. Half their clothing's missing. A good percentage of them are literally stumbling, falling down, fighting with each other. My own property has never been threatened, and for me, it's actually been kind of amusing, but I genuinely agree with Jenny Garneau. Somebody's going to die, and we're going to feel pretty badly if somebody dies, and it would be bad enough if it was one of these crazy kids, but if somebody dies because we can't provide emergency services because they're all out at the beach or stuck in a traffic jam at the beach, we're going to feel badly. And so I support virtually anything. And my specific question to the chief would be, maybe if we have an open lane container law and you've got your roadblocks set up anyway, why don't we just declare that 4th of July weekend there is no alcohol allowed on the beach, open or not, and just confiscate it before it gets there? Now, you might want to wink once in a while when you're enforcing, but I would support that. So there's nothing you could suggest that I wouldn't support. So,
Bobby, did you?
Yeah.
I was going to make a motion to put the mutual aid in place.
Okay, great, thank you. Do I have a second for that?
Certainly.
Absolutely. Do I, all in favor?
Aye.
Can we talk a little bit about the money? I mean, I think the chief's made clear there are expenses, and my sense is as the town has to absorb that, I support doing whatever we have to do. We'll find the money, we'll do what we have to do, so.
I would agree. I mean, if we, especially if we're taking arrests, I think we should increase fines. I do think that we should, if it's possible, I don't know if it's legally possible, but, those that are unfortunately enough to get caught in the net should be paying the price. And, I think that that's probably going to speak a little louder than just even the processing of the arrest, so.
I think if we made it clear to people that there was a real risk that they would be spending 2 or 3 days in jail, and I think there would be a response to that. I mean, I think Memorial Day, a number of years ago, we had some serious problems, and I think for a couple of years, they strictly enforced the laws, and I think some people spent the weekend in jail, and the word got around, and I know in the short run, there's an argument that we will suffer economically if we suppress 4th of July enthusiasm. That in the long run, I think that's a really incorrect argument, because as soon as families figure out that every 4th of July is just a riot out at the beach, they're not going to come, which means they probably won't come for the first 2 weeks of July, and that's going to really hurt the economy.
I think there's a lot more money in that than there is in buying beer, so.
Especially since a lot of it's brought over. Bobby?
Right.
Patty, I think, this party didn't get to this size overnight, and we won't fix it overnight, but this is a step in the right direction. We bring the mutual aid in. We're going to have to deal with the cost. But, I've gone online and I've Googled this and I've read all the websites and I've looked at them. And, you read the blogs and these kids are saying, I can't believe that there are no police in Nantucket. They just allow this to happen. So this year we crack down on them. The word will get out. Next year there'll be less. And in a few years it'll end up just like the jam did. It'll go away. So, it's time to do this. The cost, we'll figure it out. We're just going to have to come up with the money from somewhere.
All right. Steve?
Patty, through you, to the chief, through the chair, to the chief.
Can you get to the mic, Steve, and identify yourself? Sorry. We know who you are, but.
Steve McCluskey, through Chairman Roggeveen, to the chief. I applaud your aggressive plan. I think it's laudable and a difficult task. I just have one question about the logistics. If you are successful in this plan, and it has the magnitude and the breadth and the depth the problem has, have you considered what you're going to do logistically about the lockup?
Yeah, well, I don't want to give away all my plan, but that's a good portion of that is why we're partnering, have asked the Barnstable County Sheriff's Office to come over, because that's what they do. They're specialists in processing arrests, dealing with who needs to be locked up, who doesn't, who can bail, who can do this, and that will free the officers up to be out in the beach while they're dealing with that type of thing. We have a good capacity in our lockup. And if anybody does something that rises to the level of deserving to go to the House of Corrections to be locked up, we have a plane that's ready for it to take them on over there.
Thank you. All right. I think we should continue to look at this issue, maybe not every week, but as we get closer to the 4th, and there's not that many weeks left. If the chief can update us, I think that would be really helpful as the different organizations continue their outreach as well. That would be great for us to hear. But I think keeping it in front of people's minds from now to the 4th of July would be really powerful in terms of a community focus. And I would love to see us, at least make a dent, as Bobby said, in this year's at least attitude about what goes on the 4th of July. Bobby, then Jenny, so.
I just want to make sure that it's great to keep the update, but I think what the chief just said is very important. We shouldn't give our way or tip our hat as to what's going on here, because this meeting does go out on the internet, and these kids are not dumb, and they watch this, and they'll figure out what is going to be done. It's better not to say too much and let them not really know what we're doing, keep them guessing, so to speak.
I guess I only meant that we just reinforced consistently that we're doing something. So,
Yeah.
Jenny? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm Carrie Keys, a member of ASAP board. I'm also wanted to make a couple comments from a parent perspective. My children are grown now, but I come from a community that has dealt with similar issues, and I can tell you that there is a culture that becomes known about your community. And our community was, you don't want to have a party on our beaches, because you will end up in jail. You will have serious consequences. And I applaud the efforts from our police department here to try to change the message, change the culture on Nantucket, where it's the place to come party. And just the comment from a parent is, there is no greater fear than a call from the police department or the hospital when they're calling about your child. And you can go along and think things are fine, and that's a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call to you as the parent. It's a wake-up call to the community that we're not doing enough, that our kids are involved in this kind of activity, and the community as a whole needs to step it up. So I support the recommendations from ASAP and really appreciate the legal enforcement as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Whitey?
Yes, I'm curious, do we want to shut the whole operation down? Is that where we're going? Or are we just doing this, cutting it back? I mean, what is the overall strategy that the town wants to put forward?
I can't speak to that, but I just wanted to emphasize what Bobby said, that this is going to take a long time, and to have updates leading up to the 4th is terrific. But we have a committee that meets. They started last fall, and if a selectman wants to be part of that, all you have to do is email me, and I can put you on my little email group, and we can continue to talk, because this is going to be a long process. It took 3 years to shut down Matacasham, and that took all kinds of police effort, and there was no social media, and these kids are smart. As Selectman DaCosta has said, they're 2 steps ahead of us. They know how to do this stuff. So we have to continue with this. This can't just be, okay, after the 4th, we're done. We have to continue, and we have to really be vigilant.
Thank you. Yes, Erica?
I just wanted to say, as a mom with a couple small kids who enjoys going to the beach on the weekends, we don't even leave our house on 4th of July because A, we're afraid of driving around and the drunk drivers on the road, and B, the beaches just aren't fun. You can't bring your little kids down to the beach and have an enjoyable time because it's overcrowded, people are just rude and crass, and it's disgusting. So I applaud all the efforts being made.
Thank you. Jean?
Hi, Gene Mann. Through you to the police chief, is there a plan in place for medical personnel to be on the beach? I'm concerned with people who pass out, and there's no way to know if they're just asleep or they're medically in deep trouble. And if we could have 3 or 4 health personnel on the beach checking those who are passed out, I think we have the possibility to eliminate any serious incidents.
Thanks, Gene.
We don't have everything worked out yet as who's going to be exactly where, but one thing is all of the police officers are trained as first responders. They're qualified to make the determination and to summon the appropriate help and to start the basic life support that would be needed in the event that does happen. And that's how it worked last year for the most part.
Thank you. Mighty?
Yeah, I still have my question out there is, where do we want to go? We've shut down major events before. We shut down Main Street when Main Street became, everybody from New York would be down there. We shut down the Nantucket Regatta because it became a problem throughout the town. Do we want to shut this down, or do we want to have it slowly be pulled back? Do we have a strategy? Not just tactics, but strategy.
Whitey, I'll be happy to respond. First, I'm not sure I remember all those things we've shut down, but just as a person who did attend a jam, not sure I like to admit that, but anyway, I don't miss it. And if this withers away and families can go to the beach, that would be just fine with me.
It would be fine with me as well. And I actually would like to revisit the question, why are we having a discussion about people who are passed out on the beach when we have an open container law that prohibits drinking on the beach?
It's unenforceable.
Well, I think we've started the conversation. I believe that it's really critical that we continue to keep this in front of the public in terms of an issue, not just because of their awareness of our strategies or tactics, but also because we have kids on the island too, and I want the children, teens on the island to understand that this is not acceptable behavior, just to begin with. And so whether they're engaged in it or not is really of key importance to me. What comes from elsewhere to the island is also important for us to control, and I'm going to answer your question, Whitey, by saying I think it's much healthier to get rid of this thing than it is to actually contain it. So I think we can certainly start the steps forward to get rid of it. All of us can have fun on the 4th of July in small groups, but nothing needs to happen as crazy as this. So, and then I think we should move on, but let me have you have one more comment.
Yeah, containment becomes quite a problem. When I worked up at the Lake Placid Olympics, we had a problem in the processing time. It took about an hour and a half to get somebody back into town. So all the police did was handcuff the people to the trees. And that worked out very well because of the power of the bad example. But if we really want to do this, we should do it rather than just sort of dribbles and drabs. So I think that the board or whoever needs to make the decision has to decide, are we going to fish or cut bait?
And I think that takes us to the next step, and then we have a tape break. But maybe, Chief, if you're proposing 15 people, if you thought it would work better to have 30, it sounds like the board might be interested in supporting that. So, okay? All right, tape change. Mounties.
Yeah. No, really.
Get a few horses out there.
It really was funny. I mean, it was funny except the repercussions are something frightening.
All right, we're back on. And I'm going to move us to the next item. As you know, number 5 has been withdrawn. Number 6, request for determination that the following premises licensed to sell alcoholic beverages are not detrimental to the educational and spiritual activities of a church or a school pursuant to Section 16C of Mass General Law, Chapter 138. Nantucket Island Management, LLC, doing business as the White Elephant Hotel Residences, located at 19 South Beach Street, 24R and 29 North Water Street, and 72 Easton Street, Nantucket. My understanding is we have approved these premises for their licenses, but we did not take the next step at that point in time, and we're just doing some housekeeping here with respect to that. Is that correct, Libby?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions about that? We've done this before. Do I have a motion to,
I'd move that we find the determination that they are not so detrimental.
Okay, a second? Have a second?
Sure.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I abstain.
All right, thank you. Bobby here? No. Public hearings. We're going to start tonight's public hearings to consider applications for various committees. They're listed on the agenda. I'm going to take each committee one at a time, and I'm going to ask if there is anyone here in the audience who's made an application for the committee. If they'd like to stand up and say a few words, that's perfectly acceptable. It's not a requirement. And I did want to start out by, well, I'll address it when I had one individual who asked for me at least to note that she had been here, but she had another conflict. So we're going to open the...
Madam
yes?
Chairman, I'd like to disclose for the record that a number of the applicants that we're going to hear from tonight contributed to my campaign, as did several of the applicants that we heard from 2 weeks ago. I don't believe that it in any way affects my ability to pass judgment on the applications, and I filed the appropriate documentation with the town clerk.
Okay, thank you. And that's probably something we should all consider before we vote, by the way, because I think I'm in the same spot with a couple of people, too. So
How far back do we go on
I don't know, Rick.
John, how far back do we go?
It's easy enough to make the disclosure so it's academic. in a sense.
I think it's important, and I appreciate you bringing it up, Bruce, because oftentimes these things slip our minds. So we're going to open public hearings to consider applications for various committees. We're going to start tonight with applications for the Finance Committee. Is there anyone here tonight who has made an application for the Finance Committee who would like to say a few words? Yes, Tobias, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Board of Selectmen, Madam Chair. I was just submitting an application. I was interested in it. As a young person, wanting to get involved with tackling our debt over the long term, and considering that we, as young people, will be paying for it, I just wanted to be involved. And I also wanted to say that I am, if you don't appoint me to that board, I would be interested in other boards, so I'd love to just stay involved, so I'd appreciate any feedback from the board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right, any other applications here? Applicants, I should say, who want to make a comment? Steve, yes.
Steve McCluskey, 63 Somerset Road. I can't believe it was 3 years ago I came before you to ask for support for my appointment to the Finance Committee, but here it is 3 years later, asking for support from the Board of Selectmen for this, what I find to be a very exciting, challenging committee. There's a couple things that I think are very important to the Finance Committee members. Attendance is very important. I feel those who put their application in and accept the appointment to the Finance Committee, or any committee for that matter, it's important that they strive to have 100% attendance. And I think if you check the records, I think you'll see that I missed 2 meetings in 3 years. It's easy to get behind because the material is voluminous, for lack of a better word. And to catch up sometimes stalls the progress of those who do attend regularly. And lastly, I just want to share with you that every time we come into this room and sit in these chairs that you're sitting in, I remind myself that we represent the taxpayers of Nantucket. And I personally take it very seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Anyone else? Jim?
Madam Chairman, my name is Jim Kelly from Shuma Pond Road. I'm here seeking to be reappointed to the Finance Committee. I've been a member of the Finance Committee since 2007. I served for 3 years as chairman. I think I'm just beginning to understand the complexities of municipal finance. That I think that history is important. I think during that time we've had a cooperative relationship with the board and also with town administration. We've seen a broadening of the of citizen warrant articles participation, encouraging more citizens to participate in that process. We've been fortunate to have the town submit a balanced budget over the last several years. I think that's due in some part because of the cooperation we have with the town. And I just see that going forward, I think we're thinking more strategically, more long-term in our duties as members of the Finance Committee. And like Steve, I feel very strongly about attendance. I'm going to certainly, if you reappoint me, I will continue my excellent attendance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, Christy?
Christy Kickham. I wanted to thank the board for appointing me for the last 8 years. It's been quite an experience. As Jim mentioned, there's a tremendous learning curve. I think this current board, or committee rather, has worked really well together under difficult financial times for the town. I think the departments have worked well with the town manager. I'm happy that I think we played a vital role in that. I respect our committee for not throwing a political card, and as Jim mentioned also that as Steve mentioned, that we represent the voter at town meeting. And I think that's the proper way to conduct business without throwing politics into it. And I've enjoyed my tenure, and I would look forward to serving more.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Right, yes.
David Worth, 19 Long Pond Drive. I am a new applicant to the Finance Committee, and what I would hope to bring would be a lot of the private sector experience that I've had over my professional career, and I think specifically I have long been a pretty detailed and driven problem solver. So I bring that level of expertise to the town and to its finances. I'm dedicated to transparency of the activities, and I think the more transparent all of our boards are, but particularly the Finance Committee, the easier it will be to deal with problems and issues that arise before the Finance Committee as we go forward. And finally, I would like to work to see a set of longer-term plans, call it, people have talked about it being a strategic plan, but so that the town is out in front of its finances over the next few years, so that we do have the money to make the capital improvements that need to be made, and that we have the town on a sound financial footing as it goes forward. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, just to note, we do have 3 open positions on the Finance Committee, and we have 5 applicants for those positions. So the next committee, Harbor Plan Implementation Committee, we have 1 applicant, according to my notes, Dr. Oaktai. She's the incumbent. Is she here tonight? Oh, she's still being Concom. All right, I may open it to her if she gets down here in time. Nantucket Affordable Housing Trust Fund, we are in need of applicants, so if anybody's interested, there is 1 open seat. The Nantucket Historical Commission, we have 2 openings, and I believe 2 applicants. Anyone here from the Historical Commission applicant who would like to speak tonight? No? All right. We have Parks and Recreation Commission. We have 1 applicant and 2 openings. Anyone from the Park and Rec Commission, the applicant? I saw him earlier. Did you want to speak? Nope. All right. Planning Board alternate. We have a vacant spot and no application. So again, those in the public interested in getting involved might think of Planning Board as well. Roads and Right-of-Way Committee, we have 3 seats open and we have 3 applicants. Anyone here from the Roads and Right-of-Way Committee application like to speak? No? Scholarship Committee, we did have Jeanette Topham here earlier. She couldn't stay. She wanted to let the board know that she's very interested in continuing. And I've actually slipped my mind how many years she's been there, but it's been considerable. So I just wanted to make her plug for her. And we have 3 openings there and 2 applicants. Is there an applicant here beyond Jeanette? Town and Government Study Committee, 7 seats. I think we, didn't we end that one? No, it's just still there?
Well, I think we've talked about how to frame it or get a mission and sort of get it more focused. I think the lack of that leaves it a little tenuous at the moment.
Okay.
So.
All right, and no applicants. Tree Advisory Committee, we have 2 seats open and 1 applicant. Would the applicant like to speak tonight? Terry Palmett, she's not here. All right. Visitor Services and Information Advisory Committee, we have 2 seats open and we have 3 applications. Anyone here tonight to speak about their application to the Visitor Services Information Advisory Committee? Yes, Mr. Morrison.
Good evening. Just to reiterate what I put in my application form, I think there are some opportunities to potentially streamline and strengthen the visitor services and information function and expand its reach in an increasingly global market. As you know, my orientation is more strategic than operational. I like to think about kind of the big picture of where things are going and how things might be enhanced. And I would like to promote innovative thinking, perhaps look at ways in which the visitor services and information function can be broadened, and particularly think about ways of developing strategies to spread out the season into the shoulder season. That is to say, to encourage more visitors to come in the off-season, and also to encourage people in many other countries whom I encounter at the airport on a frequent basis, kind of the pioneer visitors from all over the planet, to enable them to let other folks where they come from know that Nantucket's a great place to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here tonight to speak? Phil. Mr. Reed.
Madam Chairman, Board of Selectmen, I have spent my entire life working in the hospitality industry, most of that time here on Nantucket. I am devoted to it. I believe that I can work well with the existing hospitality, lodging, restaurant properties to develop a plan that will encompass the best ideas of our current generation. I could be considered a little old-timer, but I'd like to believe that I can think new, and I'd love to work with the existing properties to develop a great plan that benefits the entire community, not just our industry. And I think I have the time and the ability and the experience to do that well.
Thank you very much. All right, Saddle for Visitor Services. Zoning Board of Appeals, we have 3 applicants and well, probably 2 seats is what I'm understanding. But we haven't heard yet from Dale, right? Wayne?
Dale's is the only seat that's open.
All right.
And I've been told from the zoning administrator that he's indicated that he wasn't reapplying. but
Okay.
He hasn't responded to me.
All right. So we have 3 applicants for this and one seat, possibly, but it's looking more and more like that's the case. Anyone here as an applicant who would like to speak tonight? Susan?
Susan McCarthy, 7 Kittiwake Lane. I've served as an alternate on the board the last 3 years, and really have enjoyed my time on the board. Look forward to hopefully being appointed as a member instead of just an alternate. Although if whatever happens with Dale's seat, I would be open to the alternate position as well. I think the board does very important work in the community. I find it very rewarding. I take it very seriously, and I think the board has worked together well to really consider the long-term development and effects on Nantucket of the decisions we make in working with the zoning code and other town departments. So I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you very much. All right, other applicants? Jeff?
Hi, I'm Jeff Thayer, 20 Scotts Ave. I'm a 20-plus year resident. Got father of 3 wonderful kids, 2 of which are in college. I seem to have a little bit more time on my hands, and I'd very much like an opportunity to begin to give a little bit back to the community that's given me so much. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And the Zoning Board of Appeals alternate, Jeff has also applied for that. Susan's open to that as well. And one other applicant for that single seat are here tonight to speak? Nope. All right. We then are going to close our public hearing on the applications. We'll be deciding later this month on those seats. So thank you all for coming tonight. I appreciate it. And those seats that are still available, or those that are not filled with application, anyone actually will still take applications for at this point. So those in the public that would like to get involved, please take note. But again, thank you all for coming. It's a great service to the community to get involved with, and it's one of the things, most important things I think we do is to make these appointments, and sometimes the most difficult things. But all right, the next public hearing is to consider application for a new entertainment license for the Metropolitan Club, Inc., doing business as Met on Main. Carl Goldberg, manager for the premises located at 38 Main Street, Nantucket. We're asked to continue this from the 16th of May, and I see we have...
Madam Chairman, I'm going to recuse myself from
All
this
right.
discussion.
Please note, yes. I'm sorry, Erica asked to speak first, if you don't mind. Mr. Dale.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify some matters before you get going on this application. When this application was originally received on April 26th, the application itself specified that it would only have outdoor entertainment of all types until 10 p.m. The cover letter states that, as well as the application itself. I did draft a public hearing notice that said outdoor entertainment is to end at 10 p.m. I sent it out to the attorney on this matter for the Metropolitan Club and was asked to alter that public hearing notice to say that live instrumental music on outdoor patio to end at 10 p.m. That was definitely my mistake in doing that. I probably shouldn't have altered that, but I just wasn't thinking. I thought that that was what it was the intent of it, but that's not exactly what the application stated. We did receive a letter on May 31st then kind of clarifying that from the applicant, but the application itself was never amended, so I just wanted to let you know that that mistake was mine, and so the application does state that all outdoor entertainment is supposed to be done at 10.
Okay. All right, Mr.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the board. My name is Kevin Dale, and I represent Met on Main and its principals, Carl Goldberg and Kathy Trustman, the owners who are here. Just let me address first the concerns that Erica raised. The intention is to have entertainment inside and outside of the premises until midnight, 7 days a week, 8 until midnight, with live entertainment on a patio stopping at 10 p.m. One of my colleagues, Rhoda Wyman, brought that to my attention. I informed her, she's here tonight, and Mary Ann Hanley, who's also here tonight, about that. But that's the intention of my clients. This is, as you probably have seen, is an active renovation going on Main Street, and my clients have invested significant money to revitalize this restaurant, and they propose to have tasteful, modest electronic entertainment inside and outside from 8 a.m. to midnight, and that entertainment would include streamed-in music and television and live, unamplified instrumental entertainment, but that would be limited to 10, that instrumental entertainment, to 10 on the patio. To be specific, modest and tasteful background music for brunches or receptions on an occasional basis outside. Now, I know that both Attorney Mary Ann Hanley, who's here, who represents a neighbor, as does Attorney Rhoda Wyman, have objected and opposed the application because they presume or predict somehow that music they haven't heard or televisions they haven't seen might be somehow bothersome to their clients. I think it's a little bit premature. I've talked to my clients about this. I've taken into consideration the concerns that Selectman DaCosta raised at the last liquor license hearing about making sure that my clients comply with town bylaws and ordinances, and they intend to do so. They're seasoned restaurateurs. They're serious people. They are putting a great deal of vegetation and screening on the patio. They're going to run a top-shelf operation. They're asking for no more than any other restaurant asks this board for, whether it be the White Elephant
or Crew or even the new Nantucket Hotel. This restaurant is located in the residential commercial district. It is going to revitalize the downtown. It will attract, we hope, patrons to downtown Nantucket in the evening in the summertime. I think it responds to concerns that people have raised about Main Street being kind of a dead zone and not being an attractive place for people to go to. The restaurant will be open year-round. So I asked the selectmen to be reasonable and considerate, I know you will, and give my clients a chance. There's been no problem with any noise from my clients. There won't be. And to presume or predict or to preordain that the entertainment license they request is somehow going to will cause a problem, I think is, shall I say, premature. Treat them like you do other restaurateurs in town. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
All right. This is a public hearing. The applicant, Kate, we've had a statement in favor of the application. Any other statements in favor?
Madam Chair, may I submit a letter from Cheryl Embry in favor?
Okay.
Nantucket Sewing Center.
Thank you. Take a look at the letter. All right, those here tonight speaking against the application. Rhoda, Ms. Wyman.
Yes, for the record, Rhoda Weinman. I represent 5 abutters that are in opposition to this application. And specifically, they're concerned with the outside patio. 4 of my clients reside at 1 Gardner Court. Jeremy and Pat David, who are here somewhere this evening back there, and Harry Fraker, both of whom are 19-year residents of this specific property. And 2 of my other clients are summer people here, Mary Ann Warner and Boyce and Jacqueline Bosch. My 5th client, whom I think you probably all know, is Ginger Andrews. Ginger's a native Nantucketer. She's lived at One Stone Alley for many, many years. She lives in very close proximity to the patio, which is basically under her bedroom window. All of these 5 people are approximately 100 feet from the patio. First of all, I'd like to thank Erica for clearing this up. This was a lot of confusion when I got Mr. Dale's application. It states on 2 pages of the application that the outside activity will end at 10 o'clock, as does his letter. After I had this conversation with him, he submitted an additional letter on May 31st, attempting to clarify it and to say that they want to be open until midnight. I would submit to you that this isn't a proper clarification of an application 34 days after it was submitted. For the sake of argument, if the board deems that it was appropriate, I'd like to say that from 7 o'clock in the morning till midnight, when you're abutting 5 people that are very, very close proximity, is totally inappropriate. 10 o'clock has been the standard on Nantucket for many years. At the noise bylaw states 10 o'clock, and I think that even 10 o'clock for this application is too much based on the closeness of the residents. I'd like to note for the record, I represented Even Keel when they got their liquor license and when they got their entertainment license. And when I applied for the entertainment license for Even Keel, what we asked for was inside only, infrequent events that would either be a theater, dinner, or some very infrequent entertainment that they would like to have. And when I submitted that application, I get an email back from the Selectmen's office saying, I'm suggesting the board think about a 10 or 10:30 end period, 11 o'clock, if 11 o'clock is meant to apply nightly. Now, this was entertainment inside on an infrequent basis, and at that point, it was suggested that 11 o'clock was too late. We're talking about outside at midnight now, which is totally inappropriate. I think the board needs to be consistent on this. If the board deems it appropriate to allow entertainment outside, then at a very minimum, it should not begin at 7 o'clock in the morning. It should begin no earlier than 9 o'clock in the morning, and it should end no later than 9 o'clock at night, and there should not be any outside speakers at all. I mean, these people are 100 feet away. I reviewed every entertainment license on the island that's been approved by this board for 2012, and there are very few entertainment licenses at all that specified outdoor patio entertainment. Specifically, the ones that this board has approved are as follows. Slip 14 is allowed entertainment outside until 7 p.m. Summer House Bistro, 8 p.m. White Elephant, Jetties, 56 Union, and the Galley, with many restrictions, are allowed music outside until 10 o'clock. Great Harbor Yacht Club, entertainment until 9 o'clock, Sunday through Thursday, and 10 o'clock on Friday and Saturday. Easy Street, nothing outside, and windows closed by 10 p.m. So again, to turn around and to allow something beyond what's already allowed, particularly in a neighborhood that's that close, is really totally inappropriate. I was not able to find one entertainment license that this board has allowed and approved after 10 p.m. Most importantly, this location with close abutters is closer than any of the others that this board has approved, so I'd like you to consider that as well. I'd like to very quickly read into this record a letter from Ginger Andrews, and I don't know whether anybody has seen it or not, but let me just go through it very quickly. I'm shocked and appalled that the Met, formerly Even Keel, has applied for late-night entertainment outside. I hope the board would deny any noise after 9 o'clock. The patio is directly under my bedroom window. Only a short scrap of lawn separates us. Due to the shape of the space and reflective nature of the brick walls in the surrounding area, sound is funneled directly up and into a residential neighborhood, perhaps the last downtown residential neighborhood in which people actually live year-round. There's almost nothing to absorb sound. Only a few leaves give the space an illusion of privacy, which is strictly visual in nature. I have to get up at 5 a.m. to drive to Nantucket to take care of my 96-year-old mother every day. I need my rest. In the past, even the clatter of dishes from Even Keel was sometimes intolerable, but it only happened occasionally and was usually brief. What the Met is proposing is utterly outrageous. They're essentially asking to become a club operating outdoors. Furthermore, just because you pull the plug at midnight or 1 o'clock, there's still hours of cleanup, particularly when liquor's involved. The patio is well shielded from the scrutiny of Main Street and could be a haven for drugs as well as after-hours abuse, since it'll be difficult, if not impossible, for police to oversee the area. The Selectmen can hardly have failed to notice the erosion of the quality of life in our town, which is being treated as a throwaway party favor for mostly non-residents to overindulge, not just on 1 or 2 or 8 or 12 weekends a year, but for 2 solid months. Turning the once-upon-a-time sweet shop into a night spot will not revive Main Street. You have to draw the line somewhere, and this seems like a good place. I urge the Selectmen to deny this application. The other thing that I think it's important for this board to note, since this applicant is new in the community, there have been some issues that this applicant has been faced with off-island. I found 3 of them online where there's been problems with their operation, and the one specifically that I note is in Newton, the Metropolitan Club Restaurant on Route 9 in Chestnut Hill has been granted a conditional 3-month license to operate and was told to work out their problems with all their unhappy neighbors. This place is out of control, and literally, I'm convinced they don't care. And this was published in the Newton newspaper, and I think it's important that you realize they're new to this island, and Mr. Dale says they should be given an opportunity. I don't disagree that they should be given an opportunity, but I believe they should prove themselves first. They haven't had a great track record off-island. So I would ask you to consider all the people that are going to be impacted by this application. I would ask you to look at all the other approvals that you've made, all the restrictions you put on. There isn't another operation in this island that opens at 7 o'clock in the morning with entertainment and ends after 10 o'clock, excuse me. And I think that in light of all this, I would ask you to restrict this license. They should not have any entertainment before 9 o'clock in the morning, and they should be closing no later than 9 o'clock in the evening. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me, sir. No, thank you. All right, anyone else here today to speak against the application?
My name is Mary Ann Hanley. I'm here on behalf of the Archdiocese of Fall River. Reverend Marcel Bouchard, who unfortunately could not be here this evening, he resides at the Rectory at 6 Orange Street, which is owned by the Archdiocese. My firm also represents Karen Fisher, who is the other unit owner at the Gardner Court condominium, and we represent her as well on this application. As I'm sure you all remember from the last time I was here, my client, especially Father Bouchard, had several concerns about the outdoor patio use, especially regarding noise levels and hours of operation. Unlike the restaurant, which has several shifts and several employees who can go home and rest at night, this is where our clients rest at night, right next door to this property. They can't get away from it, and it's not unreasonable for us and to ask the board to make sure that the commercial noise levels are toned down so that the residents of this neighborhood can actually enjoy their homes in the late evening and early morning hours and get a decent night's sleep as well. With the applicant's current proposal, this isn't possible. They're planning to operate televisions, radios, play recorded music on a patio 17 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. In addition, they're requesting permission to have bands with at least 3 different types of instruments performing live music on the patio for up to 15 hours a day, all year long. The applicant has failed to provide any substantive information as to where these entertainment devices will be placed on the patio, where the bands will be located. The application expressly says no amplification. However, Mr. Dale tells me that the applicant now wishes to have indoor and outdoor speakers added to the mix. The noise from these speakers is only going to flow directly into the living room and bedroom windows of the neighbors. One of our parishioners called this morning from St. Mary's, an 89-year-old parishioner who could not be here this evening, and she said, I think what we should do is just play our own music, hymns and Gregorian chants, as loud as we possibly can when people are dining. And I explained to her, I said, Mrs. McGrath, you can't do that. There's a noise bylaw, and we're required to uphold that. And that noise bylaw says it's unlawful to create excessive, unnecessary, loud, or unusual noise which either annoys, disturbs, injures, or endangers the reasonable quiet, comfort, repose, or health of others in such a manner as to create a noise disturbance across a real property boundary line. And Mrs. McGrath said to me, that's fine. If that's okay for us, that's okay for them too. And she said, you need to make sure that the selectmen condition any approval of this entertainment license so that people get their rest. Conditions have been imposed, as Rhoda said, on several applications. The planning board and the Brotherhood approval said no exterior speakers to be located on the premises and no music to be played or performed outside at any time. When the ZBA approved the DeMarco outdoor patio, no outdoor music, and the ZBA requires DeMarco to have annual review of their patio for as long as the patio is in use. Summer house restaurant, entertainment allowed only in the interior. Boarding house, no outdoor speakers. Jared Coffin, no amplification. As Rhoda mentioned, even in restaurants that don't have outdoor entertainment, you have conditioned them on shutting the windows at a certain time. The police department itself requires that the outdoor street musicians that they license on Main Street, they have to close up shop at 10 o'clock at night. Mr. Dale's contention that what we are saying is premature and that there could never be any problem is just simply not true. It's been shown over and over again that commercial establishments with live music and drinking late at night, there's always noise problems. None of you can disagree with that. My clients, especially the church, has been a supportive neighbor on Main Street businesses for over 100 years. They've owned that property. But I think that even the board will agree that the proposed Met on Main application for entertainment will test the limits of even the most cooperative neighbors. We simply don't want to see this outdoor patio turn into a sports bar, a club, or another late-night watering hole. We spent 20 minutes listening to the impact of how bad late-night watering holes and drinking can be on this island, especially at summer population. What we want instead is the fine dining establishment that was promised to us by Mr. Dale and his clients a few months ago. If the board is willing to grant any sort of an entertainment license for this property, my client simply requests that the following conditions be placed on it. No outdoor entertainment of any sort after 9 p.m. or before 9 a.m., no outdoor speakers, and the noise levels of the bylaw will be complied with. Thank you.
All right. Before, I'm sorry, Ms. Dale, I'm gonna take a minute and ask the board to comment and sort of get a sense of the board on this application rather than go back and forth. I think we've laid out the issues pretty clearly, and I would like to open it up for our comments.
You want to start, Bob?
To me, this is pretty cut and dry, Patty. We have a policy, as far as I'm concerned, that we don't allow outside music, and we don't allow live music outside in the downtown area. Last year, we set an application here from the Lobster Trap, and we told them no amplified music outside and no live music. They came in specifically asking for live music. Especially this property where it abuts the neighborhood. I just can't see us allowing any type of live entertainment out there or any type of amplified music. And as far as 7 o'clock in the morning, that seems awful early to me. 9 o'clock seems a little more realistic.
I sort of wrote down 10 to 10, but, pick your hours. 10 to 9.
7 a.m. is pretty early to be cranking up the jukebox.
And as far as live music is concerned, Rick?
Yeah, it seems to me we ought to start without that. Let's see what happens. They get to have some music out there.
We've told other people no live music, so.
So I will say one thing. Over the years, I've sensed this is sort of a creep kind of thing. We've a little bit here, a little bit there, and it sort of puts us in a position of having to say no sometimes before you find out it's unpleasant, if you will. But I think there are limits, and so I don't think we want to end up with 16 downtown outdoor patios with live music outdoors. So, there you go.
Whitey?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I remember what we went through with the Muse and how we were trying to reduce their noise profile. I am quite concerned about the location of this entertainment. I think you sort of got a hollow tube up there, and I think that we have to look at this more stringently than if it were in other places.
And I would tend to agree. I think that we have a consensus here. There's no live entertainment that I would see as a necessary addition to that neighborhood. I don't believe that, I feel like we kind of stretched it to keep the food service out there as late as we did, and I think that was a positive thing for the restaurant. But I would have to say that, at least right now, it seems that we are in consensus on the no live entertainment. As far as entertainment is concerned with respect to the hours, it sounds like we're close. It certainly appears that before 9 o'clock in the morning is, and this is outside, correct?
Outside, no amplified music. And no starting before 9 a.m.
All right, and how about the end of the day?
Well, 10, I don't mind if we really want to go to 9, but certainly not beyond 10, Patty.
All right.
10 may be the hours for the other spots.
10's the noise, the noise bylaw in town. You can't have music at your own home after 10.
So it ties into that hour.
Okay, so at this point, we have no live entertainment on the outside. We have the hours on the outside in terms of amplified music, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. As a test. And inside, the applicant has asked for midnight to midnight for amplified. Yes, Ms. Dale.
Don't mean to interrupt. Let me, if I may clarify. First of all, just so everyone's clear, we're asking for entertainment starting at 8 o'clock, not 7 o'clock in the morning. Let's put that aside. There's no 7 a.m. start time. It's clear to me where the board is headed. That you don't want live entertainment on the patio. I understand that. But there have always been small speakers on the patio when even Keel was there. And the question is not amplified music, but ambient music, as I understand it, and I'm no expert. If you're going to have streamed music or CD music, you need to have some device to listen to. Is what you're saying that you're not going to allow any outside music, even if it's pre-recorded, streamed music?
Well, I think we have to recognize that even Kale wasn't ever open that late. And so we're talking about the end of the day at 10 o'clock, essentially ending that streaming as well, yes. I think that's the consensus.
But just so I'm clear, that,
Right.
that your sense, the sense of the board is to allow for electronic, pre-recorded, streamed music on the patio until 10 p.m. Is that
Correct.
right? Thank you.
Can we just be clear on that? In some of the other locations that were mentioned tonight, that is generally allowed outdoor? That's fine. So we're consistent.
We're consistent.
Thanks.
And not before 9 a.m. as well.
9 to 10 for the outside.
Right.
And the
we've just
inside?
started to talk about the inside, okay? So on the interior of the building, we have a request until midnight.
Yeah, again, I would ask about other locations, if midnight indoors and they're, the doors can be closed if necessary. if
We've put a requirement.
Noise starts to escape and so forth.
Right, we've put a requirement that windows should be shut on at least.
Windows and patio doors,
Doors.
because,
Right.
I mean, my only concern with the inside music is live entertainment inside that building, if the patio doors are open and closing, or left open, is live entertainment outside.
Well, I would suggest we not tolerate live entertainment inside after 10 o'clock. I mean, I think that there's a real concern that it will leach out.
Patty, I don't think you'll find an objection from me.
And as far as the amplified music, that could go to midnight, but inside,
Right.
not outside.
With conditions on the doors and windows being closed.
Yeah, I think we've tried to be consistent again across locations generally with that
Yeah,
requirement.
that's what
so.
we did to the lobster trap.
Right.
Right. So we seemingly consensus, if I can sum it up, let me just sum this up, that the applicant request would be at least amenable to us, or would be support for the outside from no live music whatsoever on the outside, from 9 a.m. until 10 p.m., amplified music. In the inside, we're talking about live music until 10 p.m. How about the morning? Did we need to put a condition on the morning?
And, 8 o'clock is
8.
fine, you're going to serve breakfast, so they can...
Okay, so live music internally only till 10 o'clock, and amplified music until midnight, but with the doors and windows being closed.
Now, when you say amplified music, can we say like pre-recorded music?
Yes.
Yes.
Whatever the
There's got to
terminology
be a
is.
standard lingo so we don't get
Right.
off
CD, DVD player.
streaming Pandora or whatever they do.
So outside, no loud music at all. Pre-recorded music from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Inside, live music until 10 p.m., doors and windows shut, and then pre-recorded music from what to what?
8 to
till
midnight.
Midnight, right. And I'm going to recognize the folks here, but only if you want to change those requirements. So if you want to address something that's been said that you disagree with, we're not going to go back and forth on it.
Madam Chairman, the requirements are acceptable, but I would ask that you give my client, Mr. Goldberg, an opportunity to say one thing.
Okay,
Okay.
hold on one second. Yeah, I think we have some clarification questions. So why don't we start with
One
Marion?
of the questions I have is, I understand that the whole music concept, but nobody's talked about the outside televisions that are proposed. Do we have them, or we don't have them? Or are they restricted to the same hours? My Father Bouchard was extremely concerned about recorded music being able to be cranked up during the day.
Yeah, I think TV should fall into the same thing, everything gets shut off.
We don't want
at 10 o'clock.
outside televisions.
Okay, so
Just
that
to
helps.
address that.
Okay.
That helps, thank you.
Thank you. 1 second, more clarification?
Yeah, just to clarify, Mr. Dale indicated that there were speakers outside. They've never been permitted to have speakers outside. I don't know if they've been there, but when I represented them, that came up, and they were not allowed to have speakers outside.
Okay.
And the other thing I would ask is that you don't allow amplified music at all. I think this is definitely different than other locations. There are very few locations that you've ever allowed amplified music, and those have not been in anything that borders a residential area. So I would ask that you not. I think it's just unfair to the residents that are 100 feet away. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, Mr.
Yes, I just want to address a couple of things that were brought up. Just to clarify, we are definitely not a nightclub. We don't want to be a nightclub. We're a restaurant. We want it comfortable there. We want to invigorate the town. We don't want to detract from anything. And there was another reference made to we're out of control and we have problems, and there was something in Newton. We opened a restaurant in Chestnut Hill in 2004, and that was 8 years ago. There was a neighborhood committee that didn't like the parking conditions, and that was what was going on. And we worked with the neighborhood for 3 years. There hasn't been any problems with our restaurant in the last 5 years, So I think some of your statements might be misstated. And
I'd like to submit this to the record if I
Okay,
may.
we're not going to get into a debate here
I
about...
just wanted to clear that
right.
up. Thank you.
What we're doing is we're defining the hours of operation for the noise or entertainment or whatever. And I do think that one of the points here is that, you know, going back and forth about the record, we want to go forward. We understand that, as with the liquor license, you know, if there are complaints, we'll be addressing them as they come in. And we appreciate your, you know, response or concern for the neighborhood, as well as the neighbors' concern for making the balance happen. So I believe we have a consensus with the board. Do I have a motion? Oh, thank you. All right, I'm going to close the public hearing. All right, do we have a motion then?
Madam Chairman,
Sure.
if you indulge me one second, I just have a little concern about the speakers outside, because I think we need to put a limit on the number of speakers to 2.
Okay.
And not have 6 speakers buried in the flower beds and everything else.
Okay.
Two small speakers will send sound through that patio just fine without hopefully disrupting the neighbors up the hill.
All right, well, I think that sounds fine as an addition. Would you do me the favor, Erica, of reading back to us what the conditions are, and then I can ask a board member to please make that a general motion?
Okay, so outside, no live music at all. And then pre-recorded music on 2 small speakers allowed from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Inside, live music allowed until 10 p.m. Doors and windows will be closed at 10 p.m. And pre-recorded music, TVs and such allowed inside from 8 a.m. till midnight.
Thank you. Do I have a motion from the board?
Sure, I'll move with the restrictions as noted, including the 2 speakers.
All right, second? Second.
A point of information, how are you going to serve food? How are you going to serve food if you're going to keep the doors closed?
I don't think they have to be propped open to go back and forth with food.
I mean, they're passing food in and out all the time there.
Well, I think they can be open, they just can't be propped open.
Yeah.
So they'll open it, they'll step out, it'll close, and wait
Right.
for the next person to come
Second.
in and out.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. It's unanimous. Thank you. Thank you all. All right, next matter, public hearing to consider application for new common vicular license for Good Food Brand LLC, doing business as the Act Shack. Michael Caffrey, manager for premises located at 15 Harborview Way, Nantucket. Anyone here tonight to speak in favor of this matter? This is the Children's Beach concession. Opposed?
Oh, is this is where Marshall is?
No.
No, he's the next one.
Oh, that's
He's
Jetty's, gotcha.
yeah.
No, and he's going to Surfside, right?
That's what the next one is, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. No
Susan?
public comment on this? All right. We'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Now we have this, Rick. Okay, open the public hearing to
Okay.
consider application for the new common vicular license for Jetties Beach, Inc., doing business as the Jetties at Surfside. Marshall Thompson, manager for premises located at 160 Surfside Road, Nantucket. Anyone here tonight to speak in favor of the matter? Opposed? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Oh, it's the disposition of the board.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, next public hearing will open to consider application for new common vicular license for the restaurant at Easton Street LLC. James H. Holmes, manager for premises located at 77 Easton Street, Nantucket.
Madam Chairman, I'm going to recuse myself from this discussion.
Thank you. Anyone here tonight to speak in favor of this application? All right.
Mr. Snyder's here, but
Mr. Snyder's here, but he's going to ride it. Opposed?
this is the CV first.
Yes, I did. Yeah, this is CV. All right, seeing no public comment, we'll close the public hearing at disposition of the board.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Finally, we'll open the public hearing to consider application for new entertainment license for the restaurant at Easton Street LLC. James H. Holmes, manager for premises located at 77 Eastern Street, Nantucket. Someone here to speak in favor of that application? Right, opposed to the application?
We do have a letter.
We do have a letter. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing Comments, questions, disposition of the board?
This goes along the lines of the last one, Patty. Let me see here, hold on, I gotta get to the right page. Outdoor, we have 6 a.m. is a little early, I think, 9
Can we
a.m.,
just incorporate the same hours, or are there
9 to
differences?
10, yeah, same thing. I'm not sure if it's, I'm looking here.
There's an
Will
app-
entertainment be amplified outside?
There's indoor and
No.
outdoor as well, so.
Yeah. I'm assuming, Mark, you're just going to have, pipe music through the outside, is that your plan?
Yes, and actually, the hours are the same that the planning board had authorized in the special permit. So it's 8 o'clock outside, non-amplified music. So all we did was match what the planning board had approved previously for the hours.
The application says 6 a.m.
That's what they had approved.
Yeah, I think we're going to bump it up to
We're not
9.
up at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking of the neighbors in the neighborhood, so
I think it's just nice
it's a
to
good
use the same
standard.
hours
Right,
and-
9 to 10.
9 a.m. is fine, but we had written until 8 p.m., not 10.
Oh, it says on your application 10.
Outside?
Yep. Yep.
We'll accept your 8.
No, I'll go to
That's all right.
I'm gonna, we're gonna ask you to get to the mic too. So we have outside 8 a.m. to 10?
Patty, my inclination is to just take the same hours if they work as the last one.
Okay.
I mean, does that, we're sort of
Well,
saying,
wait,
is there a
Libby just
problem,
brought up a
Bobby?
point. If the planning board told him 8, we have to be consistent with the planning board, so. 6 a.m., no.
The planning board was 6.
Mark, can you come up to the mic? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. I believe the planning board was 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. outside, live music, non-amplified. And I think the spirit was similar to the jazz music that the Gordon Folger used to have, simple things like that. We have no plan to do anything at this time. And that was it. That's what was approved.
Okay. Well, this puts us in a bit of a sticky.
I just think we need to stick to our guns here and
Just take the
no,
hours.
no live music outside, 9 to 10 amplified music, live music inside till 1,
Yeah.
in this case, 1 p.m., because that's when the
Right.
bars are. 1 a.m., excuse me.
Okay, that's very different than, because the live music outside, we have weddings, and we would want to be able to have simple flutes and.
I guess, haven't we said in the past, functions are allowed?
Covered
live
by
music?
events? Do you have to
Yeah.
get an event permit and you pick it up that way? I don't really know, but
I'm trying to think, because we gave this to crew 2 weeks ago or a month ago, and we said, live music for events only.
Right.
But we didn't specify what an event was. So I don't know why we couldn't just say the same thing here.
Right.
Live music for events only, outside. 10 o'clock's the cutoff. 9 to 10
and
is the hours.
we'll find out how it works.
Right.
And that's
Does
what
that work
happens
for you,
if-
Mark? Well,
So
that
what
covers
is
your events.
the proposal would be from 9 a.m. to 10
9
p.m.?
a.m. to 10 p.m. Live music would be by events only.
Okay.
Otherwise, amplified music cut off at 10 a.m.
10 p.m.
10 p.m., excuse me. Inside, if you want to start it at 6 a.m. inside, I guess you can. 6 to 1
Yep.
a.m.
That's fine.
That's fine.
That's okay.
That all right?
Does that work?
Yep.
For the board?
We're still in the public hearing though, so.
Outside.
Oh, no, I closed it. I
Live
closed
music
it.
will be allowed for events only from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Right.
And then inside, all.
By
everything
request.
Everything that's been requested from 6 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Right.
Hopefully, that's consistent with what the planning board said.
And we can have amplified music outside, but not live music.
Correct, and that
Until
would be
10
from
Regular,
10
that's fine.
p.m.
So-
That's
from
okay.
9.
That's with those 2 speakers.
I think
So all entertainment ends outside at 10 p.m.
Correct.
correct. Just like,
And
because that is about a residential neighborhood, so.
But Patty, can I just follow up? When we say we have, we need to comply with the planning board, I'm not sure I understand that. I don't think we do. I think we can set our own standards.
We can,
So-
okay, good.
So if we want to go to start at 9 instead of 6, then we're consistent.
Because we're licensing here, so, right?
I'm sorry, I was just trying to, we can't go beyond the planning board.
They would be subject to both requirements.
Right.
Okay.
Whichever is more
Right.
restrictive.
So if we pick up our hours, then we're being consistent across, businesses. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No.
No, no, no.
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 Inside 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. Outside 9 a.m. to 10, amplified music, live music for events.
Right.
Only.
Okay. Is that a motion, Bobby?
That's a motion.
No. I
Oh.
did already. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, which ends our public hearings. Town manager report. Libby?
We have part one of our fiscal 2012 year-end budget transfers. We do this pretty much annually, once or twice in June. Municipalities in Massachusetts are permitted to make transfers in between departmental budgets and in between salary and expense budgets. There are certain limitations. Martin from the Finance Department is going to go over that. And between May 1st and July 15th, these transfers can be made. They are initially required to have approval by the board and then also approval by the Finance Committee. This group of transfers is our initial sort of batch of transfers for your, hopefully, approval, consideration and approval tonight. And Finance Committee is scheduled to meet on them tomorrow. We will probably have this final ones before you again on July 11th with FinCom approval on July 12th. Martin?
Good evening, Madam Chair, Board of Selectmen. My name is Martin Angelov, and I am the budget analyst at the Finance Department for the town of Nantucket. As per Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 33B, we are asking for you to consider this evening. These are the following transfer requests, budgetary transfers. So if you have any questions, we can answer.
All right, do we have questions for Martin here? He was very kind to provide us with the larger version here.
It deserves applause.
I'm going to resist ever wearing glasses on television.
Just one note, I can provide an explanation. The spreadsheet is kind of long, so if you want me to, I can provide an explanation of the flow of the spreadsheet, just so that people get an idea. The first column represents where the budget is coming from, the transfer. As per the aforementioned Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 33B, we are allowed to transfer no more than 3% of the originally approved budget or $5,000, whichever amount is larger.
Okay.
So we present in the second column the original budget that was approved. The next column has 3% of the original budget calculated, so you can obviously make the comparison whether we can use that amount or the $5,000. The fourth column has the actual amount, the budget decrease that is being transferred from that budget to the next column budget, which is shown right now. And the budget increase matches the budget decrease. And then we have notes. They're short notes, just explanatory, but I can go in more detail if that's needed.
Okay. Does everybody understand?
Yeah.
Bob?
I'm just curious what the Lakes and Ponds grant is.
Right, we all.
I never heard of it before.
Lakes and Ponds grant is a state grant. Last money that came to that grant were in 2001, and it hasn't been used ever since. Basically, the last activity was in 2006, and ever since then it's been showing an $8,223 deficit. So this year, that's basically a cleanup. We want to get rid of the deficit once and for all and close that grant, that account.
Okay.
So we don't know what it was used for, but at one point we got a grant for maybe opening the ponds.
We had $20,000, we spent $26,000,
Probably.
we're putting six back.
More than likely 2001, that's I think about time we started reopening the ponds, so that might have something to do with it.
It probably was used, my guess is it was used for drainage and cleaning of lakes and ponds, but it has seen no activity, so that's why it's basically being.
Okay. Any other questions?
Just the first one on the note on the $40,000. It's going to the Marine Department operating, And then it says overspent waterways improvement fund. I'm not quite sure how that's related to Marine Department operating.
Waterways Improvement Fund is run separately, but it falls under the Marine Department jurisdiction. So they, since they were overspent as of the beginning of April, we did transfer $40,000 from that fund to the Marine Department. So in order to smooth the Marine Department operating expense budget, we're transferring now from the Police Department salary budget. Because Waterways Improvement Fund is a fund that is not allowed to overexpend its limit, and it was above its limit as of the beginning of April. And there were more charges coming because there were payroll expenses.
It was just interesting because Dave was here going through the Waterways Fund, revenue and expenses, just, 3 or 4 weeks ago? I don't recall that came up at that time, so maybe it's new.
I don't recall if it came up either, but my understanding is that, as Martin was saying, the fund was overspent, and I believe that at least some of the expense had to do with replacement of buoys from damage from Hurricane Irene last
Hurricane
year.
Irene, yes.
And so you can't overspend the fund, so the expenses were transferred out of the Marine Department operating expense.
Into the fund?
From the fund into the Marine
Yes,
Department.
into the
because
Marine
fund
Department.
can't be
they-
overspent.
From the fund into the Marine Department.
Right,
just to make
and
sure.
now the Marine Department expense budget is over. We can't run a deficit in that budget, so we're having to transfer into that to, as Martin said, smooth it out. Was there more, Bill?
It had to do a little
Okay.
bit exactly what you said with the waterways thing, but there's some of the salaries, the assistant harbor master's salary comes partially out of the waterways fund.
right, yeah.
And there's no more money or spending limit left to pay her through the end of the year. So that's why we had to move it to the Marine Department operating so we could pay her.
All right, any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, Bruce?
I thought the limitation was that no more than 3% of the original budget could be taken in total, but it appears that in a couple of cases, 3% is taken multiple times and being transferred to other areas. Am I misunderstanding, or?
Which one?
Not by line item?
Well, for instance, the Police Department salaries, is this what the question is about, or?
Yeah, I see. You're adding them together to get the total.
It's still less than 137.
We're just,
Yeah,
the
okay.
third column just shows the same amount. It's going to show the same amount regardless, but the fourth column is the more important one, because
Okay.
this is the actual amount we are actually transferring.
Okay.
And then my last question is, will it ever be possible to get more than 3% out of the unspent snow removal funds? Or are they just going to roll over into free cash? And
Roll us over to free cash.
Rolls over,
No
we're
matter
not
what.
allowed
Okay.
legally, yeah. No matter how much money they have left.
Thank you.
Great, okay, it looks like we have a tape change need, so let's take a minute. We're almost done.
Do you need a motion, Patty?
Yeah, once the tape comes back on.
Trim the palm trees.
All right, thank you. Yes, I do need a motion, Bob.
Motion to approve these transfers.
Thank you, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Martin. Very
Thank you
good
very
job.
much. Thank you.
All right, anything else, Libby, under town manager's report, did you want to add?
I don't know if the assistant town manager is ready to report on his conference that he went to last week. Next week.
We'll get him
That's
next
fine.
week when you're not here.
I was going to say, we've
Okay.
We'll
got
make him.
lots
He'll
of
be
fun
on
and
TV,
games
though.
planned for next week.
A couple things for next week. Before the meeting started, in meeting with the vice chair and the chair about next week's agenda, we had, and upcoming, we had discussed getting the forensic audit for the airport scheduled for June 20th, but as I was multitasking here, the consultant is not available on the 20th, so I've asked him to come next week, the 13th. And John has indicated that he can be present for that meeting.
Okay.
So he'll come next week. The report should be final by Friday, and it will get uploaded to the town website. However, that's what his hope is. Worst case scenario, it'll be available on Monday.
Okay.
But that item will be on next week's agenda.
How many
Okay.
pages is it?
It is, well, we had a review with our little working group on Monday, myself, Mr. Atherton, Mr. Mulcahy, Mr. Gasparo, and Diane O'Neill, procurement officer. I think it's about 38 pages. However, there are 350, 60, 70 pages of attachments.
Oh, nice reading for the weekend.
Yes. Yeah, he will do a PowerPoint present to just take you through the report. It won't be there won't be too many slides, just the basics. But it is not a short report.
And you'll let,
Just so you know, what I'll probably do is we can download it from the website and upload it to our site, and that we can just download it and do the warrant or something. That way you can have that on your iPads.
Good.
And then I won't put that directly in the packets.
You'll just put it as a separate, like you did with the warrant?
Yeah, that's good.
On the board page?
I'll put it on the town website too.
and obviously you'll let the airport know that it's next week.
Yes, I let Art know, so hopefully he'll let everybody know, but I will make sure to get it to the airport as well.
Okay. All right. Anything else for town manager's report?
That's it.
All right. Selectmen's reports, comments. Review of summer selectmen's meeting schedule. As you know, we've started a slight tradition of going every other week. I see Rick smiling because I'm not sure he's ever supported it, but.
No, I think I supported the first year and then changed my mind.
Are you back again?
No, I think I'll just say we could meet every week and
Consistency is our
anybody.
word tonight. So.
I just have a question. Is the August 7th, is that day set in stone with the Nantucket Community Association? We just don't know the time yet, but that's definitely the
It's
date.
9 a.m.
9:30 a.m.?
Okay.
Sorry.
So we have the schedule as proposed in our packet as far as beginning, July 4th happens to be a Wednesday, so it looks like that sort of starts the definition of that's the miss date. And then we move from there to every other week. Any comments?
Motion to approve?
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, Rick.
Opposed? Chair votes in favor. Yes.
Whitey voted in favor.
Whitey's with us. All right, committee reports. Anyone have reports from committee? Yes, Rick?
I have one. The audit committee met on Tuesday morning. We had a fairly, I wouldn't say abbreviated, but we had the regular schedules of sort of the reconciliation progress that they report every audit committee meeting. We also had a new schedule which goes through the management letter comments and is actually quite informative. I think we'll make sure we distribute that to the board and get it posted. So it tries to go back over time and see if there are some comments that are repeats and there's an X in a column, and it helps put things in perspective, and that was a new schedule for the meeting. So that's the quick report.
All right, Whitey, did you have a?
No,
No?
we met with Shab, but I think Peter Brace being here helped.
Okay. Any other committee reports? All right. Anything else under selectmen's reports or comments?
I just have one new issue I wanted to raise. I've discovered that one of the joys of being a selectman is that you get a lot of inquiries from constituents. And I just wonder if we could investigate ways that collectively we could better deal with them. I think we owe it to the voters to be responsive. I think there's some redundancy the way things work now. I mean, an issue will come up, for example, the issue of the shed out at the landfill. We all get multiple phone calls at home. We inquire of the town manager, and in some cases, we discover that she's already dealt with it, but we didn't know that at the time that we got the call from the constituent. I just wonder if, and I would be willing to take on this assignment, if we could investigate ways to better deal with those inquiries and have maybe an information clearinghouse of some type. I understand there's at least one town on the Cape that has some kind of a blog where people can check the blog and find out whether the issue has already been dealt with before they call us all at home. And again, I would be happy to take on the assignment if, with the approval of the board, that it's worth pursuing, so.
I think it's useful.
Who's the Cape town? Do you know, Libby?
No, but I don't know if this is along the lines of what you're exactly saying, but Greg and I have been talking recently about a blog-like feature to the town website,
This sort
perhaps.
of picks up on the Facebook discussions from a while back, as in a sense.
Sort of, but more of a web page, maybe a town manager or town administration web page. Maybe we could even have a Board of Selectmen one that sort of does what you're saying. It would have some questions on there that just stay on there for a while that have an answer. People can go and look at it. You guys could go look at it, and if you get the constituent call and see if it's answered. You can also, of course, ask us. We can maybe talk to you about this a little bit more sometime in the next couple of weeks, because we want to get this up and running. And as an aside, because Bruce and I talked a bit recently about getting more information out to people of things that have already been answered or been done, that we don't, like the Nantucket Pier, that we don't necessarily report on, because either we've emailed you all, FYI, this happened, but we don't get back to reporting every little item at the meeting. However, maybe that seems like we're not doing anything if we're not reporting back like that. In any case, we have looked at a couple of other towns that have this sort of informational webpage, and I'd be very interested to look at the one that you're talking
I
about.
haven't found out which one it is yet.
Oh,
but
okay.
Yeah.
Well, we could work on finding that out. So we're happy to help work on that as well.
It's also true with when emails come in, you don't know necessarily whether everybody got them.
Yep.
And so you say, oh, and maybe the idea of a central clearinghouse, you send that back in, and then somehow we find it went to everybody or whatever.
We'd all know what we all knew, yeah, which would be, I think, a good, useful place to
As long as
start.
they're not violating any open meeting laws, right, John?
There you go.
Information.
Information. All right, so I think we can give you a nod there, Bruce, and sort of
Okay.
work with the staff on
Okay.
seeing what we can do. Anything else? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
We'll see you for executive session in the morning.